There are extra books here, yes.
One more.
So please arrange yourself into a comfortable position. It's so important to be comfortable in meditation. Of course, there's certain points like having a straight back. That's very important. A tall back of the head, the chin slightly tucked in, the eyes in a sort of gentle half gaze, the arms comfortable. You can have your arms on your knees in your lap, or the traditional way of the left hand supporting the right. Again, wisdom and method, thumbs coming together, pulled into the tummy. All this is important. But most important is to be relaxed, to be comfortable. So half closing the eyes and just adjusting your posture till you really are in an optimum, comfortable position. And our senses all day have been bombarded. But now we're going to draw the mind inward. And to do that, we just become aware of how the whole body is responding to each in-breath and out-breath. That's all. How is my body responding to each in-breath and out-breath? Letting go of anything else. And gently allowing one part of the mind to move through the body, from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. Simply noting any areas of pain or tension and then moving on. Do nothing about it, just note it and move on. And without altering the rhythm of your breath in any way, simply notice that on the out breath, all areas of tension is removed from the body. On the out-breath, all tension flows away from the body, very naturally. And as the tension flows from the body on the out-breath, notice how relaxed your facial muscles are, how smooth your forehead, how spacious the area around the eyes and between the eyes. How relaxed your shoulders. Notice how they've dropped to a much more comfortable position. How relaxed your abdomen is, and how responsive it is now to each in-breath and out-breath. Each in-breath and out-breath. And as you focus on the movement of the abdomen, allow a sense of stability to arise. Nothing forced. A sense of stability arising through simply observing the movement of the abdomen. Again, without altering the rhythm of the breath in any way. Notice that on each in-breath, your mind is becoming brighter. Without any effort, on each in-breath, the mind becoming sharp. And now with a relaxed body and a sharp, bright mind, generate a strong motivation, a strong positive motivation for this session. Make it clear in your mind and shift your attention to that motivation. Just hold it in your mind gently. And for those of you who are happy to do so, we can do the refuge prayer and the 4 immeasurables. I will do that in English, if that's okay. Okay. And for those of you who are not sure about this refuge prayer, just holding that motivation, that positive motivation, is good enough. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Thank you. So I am absolutely delighted to be back in Copenhagen. So I want to thank the people who invited me. So I'm very happy to be here. That's good. So what I would like to ask first is just a show of hands. How many people come to the centre kind of regularly or semi-regularly? Okay. Right. And those that this is relatively new or very new? Right up. Right, I want everybody to see you. Okay. So we pay attention. Keep your hands up. All of the rest of us, we pay attention for these people, yes? Because it's a wee bit odd, Buddhism, really. It can be a bit odd. So what you need is you need people that you can ask questions. So all the rest of us, these are the new people. So we pay special attention and special care. Is that okay? Excellent. Any questions you have? Myself or anyone whose hand was not raised? Okay. You ask them. Okay, good. So this weekend this weekend is looking at what's called the wisdom of emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness. The wisdom of emptiness is extremely profound. I mean, really profound. It has many levels of subtlety. It has its own specific language code. It has, it can be quite esoteric and extremely in depth. But you will be pleased to know that this weekend, we're looking at becoming acquainted or reacquainted with the beginner's mind, with the beginner's mind. How things exist, as opposed to how we think things exist. And what I hope to teach this weekend, and what I hope to share with this weekend, is the fundamental areas that we need to question in order to understand this very profound topic. Also, what I want to get through this weekend, I hope, is to understand the context of this idea of emptiness. Because when we study something, we tend to see it as a discrete body of knowledge. And if I just learn that, that's fine. Then that's done, right? And then I'll learn this bit and that's done. This is not that. This is questioning how we see and how we view reality. Nothing less than that. It's really saying how you see yourself and how you see all phenomena without thinking about it, no choice, is in error. And because of that error, suffering arises. And so one of the things in this weekend that's very important is to really grasp the context of this idea of emptiness. Not just as a discrete body of knowledge, but the context. And the context is very, very important. Because we have no choice at the moment on how we view reality. No. We are going to ask ourselves over this weekend, and we're going to challenge everything that we haven't even ever bothered to question, because that's just how things are. By the end of this weekend, I hope to have utter confusion about how things are. This is very good. Okay? So let's look at the context. Now, you should have in front of you this paper that says Presenting the Path. Does everyone have a copy? Yes, we have spares, yes. Yes, yes. Yes. Everyone here got a copy? So the context is very important in order to understand the Buddha's unique view of selflessness. So what you have in front of you, for those of you who have studied the Lam Rim, this will be very familiar. For those of you who haven't, it's just a list of things, basically. So what we're looking at here is the middle part, where it says our precious human life, all the way down to the wisdom and emptiness, that middle part. What we're looking at here is the whole of the Buddha Dharma. That's what we're looking at. There is nothing within the Lam Rim that isn't all about Buddha's teachings. The Lam Rim encompasses all of Buddha's teachings. So we're looking at all this, precious human life, okay? Death and impermanence. So precious human life, if we say the whole of the Lam Rim, the whole of the Buddha's teachings are either wisdom or method, it'll never be that easy from then on, wisdom or method. And they talk about it as the two wings of the bird. And I've heard this expression in Christianity, and in some Muslim friends use the same thing. And they say it's like the two, you need the wisdom and you need the method for the bird to fly. So this is not a unique idea of Buddhism. This goes all the way through different religions, but nonetheless important. When we look at this list of the Lam Rim, all the topics within the Lam Rim, our precious human life, would you say that was method or wisdom? Anybody? I'll give you a hint. Method. All right. Death and impermanence. What do you think that is? Do you want another hint? Method. Lower rebirth. Method. Refuge. Method. Karma. Method. Renunciation. Method. Equanimity. Method. Bodhicitta. Method. Shamata. Method. Method. So we're looking at all these teachings here. And then you've got the wisdom of emptiness. So the rest of the teachings are really method. And there's one aspect here of the wisdom of emptiness. Now you can tell just by that this has to be extremely profound in order to balance this. There are many ways of looking at all these teachings. And that comes very clear on how people look at the different teachings within the Buddha. But you could say generally, Geshe Tashi, for those of you who know Geshe Tashi in London, often says that the method aspect, the method wing of Buddhism, really is appealing to more the emotional side, how we behave within the world, emotional. I'm not saying good or bad, just how we respond within the world. It's looking at ethics. It's looking at concentration. It's looking at virtue. It's looking at appreciation. It's looking at karma. It's looking at all these things. Emptiness is looking at logic. Logic. Not so much knowledge, not so much content, because knowledge is an interesting thing, because we can have enough knowledge in our head that actually blocks wisdom. It blocks it. It can. But we have a preference in this society for knowledge. Tell me what, just tell me how it is. But within the Dharma, really what you're looking at is logic. Using a way of thinking for yourself and seeing the type of conclusions you come to, then testing those conclusions within your life. Because often within life, what we understand through logic does not correspond to how we behave. It doesn't correspond, often. You'd think it would. You'd think that knowledge and logic about whatever topic you're thinking about would directly inform how we behave. It doesn't. It really doesn't. So the Dharma is saying there's this disparity. So get your logic right and then test it. So that's what this is looking at. Now, at the very bottom, it says renunciation, bodhicitta, correct view. So this is another way of taking all the Buddhist teachings and saying, instead of doing this list of Lam Rim, you can actually put all the Buddhist teachings into renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct view. So correct view is the wisdom of emptiness. It's looking at selflessness. Therefore, renunciation and bodhicitta are methods. You need both. It's absolutely crucial. So within this, renunciation is about emerging from nonsense. It's about emerging from behaving in certain ways that do not bring happiness, but only bring suffering. Bodhicitta is about, once you've emerged from that, what do I do? Do I work just for myself, or do I work for everybody else? You know, it's about view. Do I have a narrow view, or do I have a wide view? And the widest view you can have is bodhicitta, wanting to benefit all living beings without exception, not just the ones you like. Everybody, even those people that irritate you. Now, once you've got that right, then correct view comes along. Now, it would be easy to say, first of all, start with renunciation. And once you've got all the renunciation right, then move on to bodhicitta. And once you've got bodhicitta right, you can move on to correct view, if only. But that's not how it works. You need to start tasting and working with all three. because all three inform each other. All three inform each other. We need a calm mind to look at correct view. You really do. You need a calm mind. Any mind that's agitated, grasping, attachment, afflictive emotions, however nice you are, however hard you study, will not work out in any way, will relate to correct view. So you need a calm mind. What brings a calm mind is emerging from nonsense, really, giving yourself space, watching how you live your life, promoting virtue, reducing non-virtue, not because you want to be nice Buddhists, although that's reasonable. It's to calm your mind. Well, why do you need to calm your mind? Because in order to develop bodhicitta, now bodhicitta is a mental attitude that needs strong concentration. Not just, no, it's for hours on the same topic, same focus. You cannot develop that type of concentration without renunciation, without a calm mind. Now, once you've got a calm mind and once you've developed concentration, then you put that calm, concentrated mind and you focus it towards the correct view of reality. Then you're in with a chance of seeing how things really are. Now, of course, again, you develop all of it at the same time. Now, when you start developing all at the same time, confusion will come. That's no problem. Do you see what I'm saying here? This is quite important, because where renunciation and bodhicitta will calm your mind, and it really will, and virtue, promoting virtue and reducing non-virtue, which all the methodology is for, that will do it. But the only thing that cuts the route to suffering, the only thing that leads you out of suffering towards liberation and enlightenment, is the correct view of reality. Now, you could say, and I have had people say to me, right, I'll just skip the first bit and we'll go straight to emptiness. I'm thinking, that's very good. And some people have got that type of, I mean, if you're a special type of individual that has that type of, already got that quality from previous lives, some people can go straight to emptiness and they're fine, they're fine. For the rest of us, it's a bit of a slog. We have to go through renunciation. We have to go through bodhicitta. If you go straight for emptiness without going through, some people are okay for that. But the wisdom of emptiness that comes through understanding bodhicitta is far more profound than the emptiness without bodhicitta. And therefore, it's not for nothing that these are called the three principal aspects of the path. The three principal aspects of the path: renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct view. Work on that. Study, meditate. It's very hard. I think it's very hard to go wrong. Skip it, any bit of it, then I think it's easy to go wrong. Okay. So, again, taking all the Buddhist teachings, certainly you can look at the Lam Rim, certainly you can look at the three principal aspects. All the teachings are into those categories. But you can also, within Buddhism, they say, another way of dividing it up is ethics, concentration, and wisdom. You'll read that. And that's exactly the same. Ethics to calm the mind. You see, people, if you don't have ethics, if you don't reduce the non-virtue in your mind, the mind, it's too busy, it's too negative, it's too full of wrong concepts, it's not calm enough. And it's got not much to do with how clever you are or how studious. Without this calmness, nothing else is really possible. So the main role for ethics is to calm the mind. The main reason to act virtuous and reduce your non-virtue is to calm your mind. Now you've got a calm mind, what do you do with it? You develop your concentration. No mental qualities that you need to develop in order to reach enlightenment can be achieved without concentration. Can't happen. You need to be able to concentrate. That's vital, vital. Once you learn to concentrate, what do you concentrate on? Well, let's give you a hint, emptiness. How things actually exist. Can there be anything more important than understanding how things exist? Not according to the Dharma. Not according to the Dharma. Okay. So what's the big problem within the Buddha Dharma? What is the big problem? The big problem is ignorance. And again, in the Dharma, they'll say to you, there are 3 poisons. People remember this: ignorance, attachment, and aversion. They're called poisons because they just totally poison the mind against any form of reality. Anything you view through ignorance, attachment, and aversion is not going to be right. It's going to be completely skewed. So if you look at linear, doesn't happen linear, but you can look at it this way. Ignorant of what? There's your basis. Ignorant of what? Ignorant of how things exist, how we exist, how all phenomena exist. There's your ignorance, right at the very beginning. Also ignorant of the laws of causality. Okay. Next step. Through this ignorance, lots of afflictive emotion. Because we don't understand how things exist, we have a strong concept of I. Yes. I, me and mine. And once you've got an ignorant idea of me and I, then that's mine, and that's mine, and that's mine. And that's not mine, and that's not mine. Mine. From that, you develop and you create friends. Friends who agree with you, your concept of who you are, and who do things to butter you up into how you think you are. We think friends are out here. No, we create these friends. And then, of course, there are people who don't believe us and don't agree with who we think we are and what we should have and what we should not have and what's me, I, and mine. And so they're enemies. Not enemies out there, created enemies. I create them. Nobody else does. And then, of course, the other billions of people on the earth, they don't really exist very much. They're just strangers. They're just strangers. Some of them might become friends, some might become enemies, but generally speaking, strangers. Now, from this strong concept of I, me, and mine, creating enemies and creating friends, right? What type of emotions come from that? Well, this is where your poisons of attachment and aversion. Mine and not mine. I want it, I don't want it. When that's strong in the mind, what comes? Anger, jealousy, greed, pride. Our concepts of love, tricky. Even our concepts of compassion, completely different to what the Dharma would say it is, what the Buddha said it was. But we have these ideas, these concepts come up. Now, this is full, the mind is like this. And it's not just staying there, it's coming in and out of fashion. It's just going on like mad. Now, from that, we then have actions of body, speech, and mind, driven by these afflictive emotions. Now, these actions of body, speech, and mind, how can they be wholly positive when they're based on afflictive emotions, which is based on attachment and aversion, which is based on ignorance? Really, we don't have a fighting chance here. We do our best, but really it's polluted. And from these actions of body, speech, and mind, what happens? Okay, you've got the immediate thing, good things, bad things, neutral things, but you create more karma. So you're not just doing things and saying things and thinking things. You're doing, thinking, and saying, and a corresponding karma is going on to the mind stream. And when that ripens, when you're in similar situations again, you just perpetuate the suffering. All of that suffering comes from ignorance. It's a process and it comes from ignorance. And so you could say that if you want to understand the nature of reality, how things are, It is a journey. In Buddhist terms, you would say it's a journey from samsara to enlightenment. Or you could say it's a journey from bondage to freedom. I like that. I like that. But you start with a problem. Someone comes up to you and says, da 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 da, emptiness, this, this, and this, you're in bondage. And you think, no, I'm not. I have free will. I am a very independent individual. I am very successful. Don't tell me I'm in bondage. So here we have, right at the very beginning, we have this difficulty. And that difficulty is understanding, or at least giving some room to the idea that I might be in bondage. That maybe I'm not in control the way I think I'm in control. When the Buddha was asked if he was a god, he said no. He was asked if he was some sort of angel, some sort of spirit. He said no. And then when the man said to him, well, what are you? He said, I'm awake. And when he said, I'm awake, what he's really saying is you're all asleep. And so the first mini awakening within the Dharma is to wake up to the fact of this bondage. Something is holding us back. What is it? Just think about that. Something is holding me back. The Dharma is very clear. What is it? I have to always make sure I'm not going over the bits. What's holding us back? It's not something that we decide to think or that we decide to do. What's holding us back from this mini awakening of seeing this bondage is an innate ignorance. It's an ignorance that comes from life to life. You're not choosing this. You're not choosing this. It's an ignorance that does not see the suffering of self and others. Now, we can say, well, yeah, that's ridiculous. I know suffering. I've suffered, or I've seen people that are suffering. But from a Buddhist point of view, and those of you who studied with me before, we've looked at the different types of suffering. And there's lots of different types of suffering. And so right at the very beginning, one of the things that's holding us in bondage is not seeing it. Not really seeing the suffering that we're going through and that others are going through. The other thing that's keeping us tied down and stops us becoming awake is misunderstanding suffering and labeling it happiness. Being in situations that we label as happiness, that is in fact just a form of suffering or a temporary alleviation of suffering. Again, this is study that has to be done in teaching of the Lam Rim. But even now, just if you've never heard these teachings before, you need to think about this. A temporary alleviation, it's like having a headache and feeling really, really bad. The headache goes away. How do you feel? Oh, great. Great. I'm so happy. Really? Misunderstanding. Misunderstanding what true happiness is and not understanding what suffering is. And one of the biggest bondages we have that keeps us bonded to samsara, to suffering, is not seeing how things truly are. Again, not choosing this, but seeing from the moment we're aware. It's as if there is something within me that has a permanent condition. You know, there is a me, an I. There is it, and it's solid somewhere. It's there. And when I look at you, I see the same thing. Something solid and unchanging and permanent. And then when I look at everything in this room, how I view it, despite intellectual understanding, I'm viewing it as permanent, unchanging, solid. We're going to go into this a bit deeper. So I'm not talking about intellectual understanding here. I'm talking about just how we view things. How we view things. These are the things that keep us in bondage. If we want to come out of bondage and understand how things exist, then there are prerequisites. There are prerequisites. One of the main prerequisites of understanding emptiness, understanding selflessness, is concentration. It's really important. The more you develop your ability to concentrate, the clearer will become reality. You're viewing these things. It's not a piece of knowledge. This is something else. This is unique. This is changing completely how you view yourself, other people, and every single thing your senses come in contact with, without exception. Seeing its true nature and not the hallucination that we're born to see. And if you develop this concentration and you start slow, you build it up, you're still looking at wisdom, the more you develop your concentration, the clearer that wisdom becomes, because you can hold it. Because when you develop certain levels of concentration, you can place your mind onto a virtuous object and you can hold it there for as long as you wish. And that's important, because it's not just you're knowing the object, the virtuous object, you've got to be able to penetrate that object and see its true nature. To do that, you need to be able to focus. It's a prerequisite. And so we start to build this up by learning how to do analytical meditation, how to do single-pointed concentration. And those of you who wish to go further and really develop this concentration, then you start to develop shamata. You've heard of shamata meditations. Shamata meditations where you develop the single-pointed, laser-like control. And then you've got a chance of really seeing reality. But the good news is this. Understanding, His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, understanding the nature of reality can be an intellectual process. And in fact, it's useful to understand this intellectually. And so, and it's not, I don't think it, once you start studying it and meditating on it, it's reasonably straightforward. Of course, the esoteric things get a bit tricky, but generally speaking, you can get a good handle on this intellectually. What you have to do once you've got it intellectually is you bring that into your meditation. By bringing your intellectual understanding of emptiness into meditation, then that can be transformed into experience. So the intellectual bit can be straightforward, the experience not so. So you need to bring your experience into meditation. What I'm doing now is giving you an overview and looking at the context. We will be going into each of these bits a wee bit more deeply. Okay. And so to develop that type of concentration, whenever you're doing meditation, build up your ability to use analytical meditation and build up your ability to use single-pointed concentration. So any meditation that you do, try, if you can, try to bring both these aspects in. If you're not used to meditation, then analysis is probably more important. Why? Because analytical meditation is asking you to use your understanding, your intelligence, your creativity. It's like an intensive study. It's quite a busy mind. This is a busy mind. You're bringing everything in. You're bringing experience to bear. You create all of that coming in. Why? What's the purpose of analytical meditation? The purpose of analytical meditation is to move the mind from a wrong concept of something towards a correct idea of something. Move the mind. It doesn't change the mind. We think, don't we? If I learn more, that'll change us. No, it doesn't. You know, a lot of people are very intelligent about a lot of things, and they behave not very intelligently. So to think that intelligence equals to changing your behavior is not true. So analysis moves the mind from a wrong concept to a more correct concept. But once you're there, you let go of the analysis and you focus, sometimes called single-pointed concentration, sometimes just called concentration or focus. And what you do then is you stop the analysis, you stop the creativity, you stop the busyness, and you just stay with it. Whatever you've got, you stay with. As long as it's positive. You can stay with negative. I don't recommend it. Stay with the positive. Why? Because although analytical meditation moves the mind from ignorance to wisdom, the ability to focus will change your mind. That's what changes your mind, your ability to focus. So whenever you're doing meditation, try to bring these two in. If you're with me, I'll tell you, I'll say, stop now and do this, because that's just the way I am. But when you're developing shamata, however, you're taking this far beyond that. You're taking an object, a mental object, and you're learning to focus on that object without distraction, without dullness, without agitation, and you stay with that. So this is, when we talk about shamata, you're talking about stages of mental development. Okay, what I'm talking about is like your baby steps towards that, your analytical and your ability to focus. Any questions about that?
A couple of questions.
Okay.
Remember we once talked about the difference, the two forms of concentration. One is holding a specific object in single-pointed meditation, and the other is a more general concentration. So someone says, I can't concentrate. So here you are in teachings and my mind is there. Or is there a difference between general concentration when I just can't seem to focus, or I have an object, a single object in my mind that I'm holding? Is there a difference? Do you remember this point?
So we think, don't we, there are times when my mind is agitated and I can't concentrate, and there's times when I can. We think like this. There are times when you're very, very unfocused, when you're very, very agitated mind, and there's times when you're slightly less agitated, slightly less focused. All the time that we're thinking, all the time we're trying to concentrate, our mind is totally scattered. Totally scattered. We're distracted through the five senses to start with. Anything, I can't concentrate because it's too noisy, because I'm hungry. There's horrible smells around here. I'm not comfortable enough. I don't have my special cushion. You know, all of this. This is what we think. This is our normal state of mind. Now, what you do in shamata is you take this mind, you reduce the power that you normally give to the five senses, and you allow mental concentration to come foremost. At the moment, our mental concentration, our mental abilities are usually commenting on our five senses. That's what we do. But if you reduce the power to the five senses, mental concentrations like this, give it something to focus on, a mental object. Never mind all this, that, and give the mind something to do. Focus. Now, all the way through the stages of shamata, through mental development. It really is about minimizing and reducing agitation and dullness until your agitation becomes more and more and more subtle, until your dullness becomes more and more and more subtle. So the mind becomes less sleepy and tired, it becomes less agitated. But actually, when you get rid of the gross agitation and dullness, then you've kind of got a medium agitation and dullness that you can't even recognize when you're up here. Because when you're up here gross, you either are agitated or you're not. But once you reduce that, you'll see there's kind of a medium type of agitation and dullness. So you deal with that and you think, yay, but no, there's a much more subtle agitation and dullness. So all the way through shamatha, this becomes finer and finer and finer, until you can focus for hours on end on a virtuous topic with laser-like concentration. And more than just focusing, you penetrate. You see what it is. You see exactly what it is. And when you've got that, you've got this fine laser. Now, what do you do with this? Well, you can play about with it, because shamatha is, they say, very entertaining. Oh, yes. Lots of qualities come with shamatha. You can be, there's a lot of skills and abilities come, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and you can be distracted. But with this laser-like mind, if you then point it at emptiness, the nature of reality, then you're in with a very good chance of understanding the nature of reality. Get that, no more suffering. No more suffering. And if you can get that coming from a bodhicitta perspective, pure enlightenment. And the reason this is possible, no one is giving this to you. No one's, from a Buddha Dharma point of view, there's nobody sitting on a cloud going, you're a very nice person, I'll just help you. Or that's not very good. There's nobody judging here. This is a quality that you're born with. It's called Buddha nature. Quality that you're born with. You have the potential to be Buddha. If you didn't have that potential within you, how could you become Buddha? You couldn't. How could you? Somebody's going to just go, you are now Buddha. Boom. Nobody does that. Everything is causes and conditions. So where are the conditions here? The conditions are within your Buddha nature. You already have it. You don't need to be given it by anybody, but it needs to be developed. But it's there already. If it wasn't there, you couldn't become Buddha. You couldn't become enlightened. You couldn't change. But within your Buddha nature, there are qualities that will help. And as you develop shamatha, these qualities come to the fore. And these qualities are better than anything in life, they tell me. There is a bliss that comes. There is nothing in this world compared to the bliss of shamatha, they tell me. There is a clarity that comes, a luminosity that comes, nothing to compare. And nobody's giving you this, you have it. And it comes to the fore. And what also comes to the fore is a kind of non-conceptuality. Not relying on concepts, a kind of non-conceptuality, which gives you space. These are qualities you have. You just need to enhance it and allow them to develop. How do you do this? Concentration. Once you've got concentration, what do you do? For goodness sake, look at emptiness. Look at the nature of reality. But again, I emphasize, I'm saying it linearly like this, but actually you need to attack all three. Why? Well, otherwise it'll take forever. But they don't work in isolation. If you get insight into the way reality actually is, just say, because some people get this, they get a kind of, sometimes in meditation, you go, an aha moment. And that then impinges on renunciation. It gives your renunciation a kind of quality it didn't have before. It gives you energy and a clarity in your focus of concentration. So let's say you have an aha moment with concentration. That will give you insight into renunciation and will inform your view of reality. Let's say you understand the 8 worldly dharmas and how it keeps you in bondage. And during your meditation, you suddenly get it. You sometimes can't keep it, but there's an aha moment. That completely reverberates with your concentration, and it brings correct view closer. So it's not worth doing this, this, and this. It's worth doing them together. And you see how they impinge. Now, to do all that really requires a calm mind, really. Okay.
Can I just check the word impinge? I'm not sure everyone
Impinge?
might understand
Affects. Has a direct effect. Yes. So, calming the mind. Calming the mind is something we need to do on a regular basis. But on a regular basis, what we tend to do is go with the excitement, or go with the dullness, or go with the anger, or go with the joy, or go with the just want to chill. God, I hear that any more times. I just want to chill. Oh, okay. This is what we go with. But really what we need to be practicing is how to calm the mind. And once you learn to calm the mind, there's a real joy comes from it. Once you get a taste of that, everything else is kind of secondary, really. You'll do it, but it won't be the same. So how do you do it? Well, there are many methodologies within Buddha Dharma to calm the mind, many. Some are very simple, some are very complicated. The most simple one is the 3 breath. The 2 breath method, the 3 breath method, and 9 round breathing. Very good. So let's look at the 3 breath method first. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about relaxing the body. We have to understand that the more relaxed your body, in the right posture, but relaxed, the more the energy can flow around the body easily. The winds move much more easily. The mind rides the winds of the body. And so our body and mind, although they're different, they're very closely connected. The more relaxed your body, the more relaxed your mind. And so the simple, when people said to you when you were a child, just take a deep breath, dear. My mother used to say, oh, just take. Very true. In the Dharma, and it's not just the Dharma, a lot of different religions have this, but focus. And you take, and it's a 3 breath. So basically you're breathing in, but you're with mindfulness. And you're breathing in the white light, just breathing in the white light. And if you can imagine your body as being empty, like a bubble, just like a bubble. Because if you do that, when you breathe in the white light, there's nothing to obstruct it, and it penetrates everywhere in the bubble of your body, breathing in. Then breathing out any dark smoke of agitation, pain, ignorance, just breathing it out, like black smoke. Your body is hollow, like a bubble, breathing in the white light. It penetrates every part. There's nothing to obstruct it. And breathing out the black smoke of any type of wrong thinking out. Breathing in. And breathing out. Feeling the balance of your mind, just balanced. And staying with that feeling of balance. So once more, your body like a bubble, empty, breathing in the white light. It permeates everywhere. Breathing out like black smoke, any negativity, any hurt, any wrong ideas, just breathing out like black smoke. Breathing in. Breathing out. And for many of us, at certain times, that's enough. That'll get your mind into the right state. And if you practice this, try to get a taste of what your mind was like before the meditation and a taste of your mind what it's like afterwards. Is it effective? And relax. In this meditation, you're thinking of nothing else. You're not allowing your senses to be distracted. And it can calm the mind so well. Children do this extremely well. When I've taught in schools, they love this and they can see the benefit immediately. Now there's there are many methods, what's called the 2-breath method, which I tend to use a lot. And what that is keeping the tummy soft. That's important, so that it's moving with the breath. So what we do is we breathe in through both nostrils. The belly fills. Then we breathe out through pursed lips for a long out breath. Now this long out breath through pursed lips, it's not until you faint, you know what I mean? Just a long out breath. And then you do it again. You breathe in, the belly fills, and then the out breath. And in that long out breath, your whole body, from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes, simply relaxes on that out breath. You do that twice, and then just stay with that kind of balance. So in your own time, breathing in, keep the belly soft. And then that long out breath through pursed lips, letting your whole body simply relax. You do that twice. And then you just stay with the natural rhythm of your breath. Just stay with that. and relax. And like everything else in life, it's only practice that makes it better. That's all. I don't even think there's such a thing as a poor meditator. There are people who meditate, and there are people who say they're going to meditate. The more you meditate, it's only a skill. You learn it. The only difference between a good meditator and a poor meditator is practice. So, yeah. And another methodology, these first two are very simple to do. Another methodology for calming the mind, because the mind rides on the internal breath of the body. This is why the breathing, anything to do with breathing is quite powerful, is what's called 9-round breathing. May I ask how many people have done 9-round breathing before? Okay, right. So there is this meditation technique called 9-round breathing. Now, 9-round breathing has many different levels and different ways of performing it. Some are very, very complicated and actually include various physical movements and various visualizations. And then there are quite simple ones that seem very straightforward. So 9-round breathing can be quite complicated meditation, or it can be quite a simple. We're going to do a middle of the road one, just to be aware that it is different. So why is it called 9 rounds? It's called 9 rounds because there's 3 sets of 3. And what you're imagining, one of the simple meditations, you're imagining that your body is hollow, just hollow. And in that hollow body, there is a central channel from the crown of your head, and you imagine it from the crown of your head going down in front of the spine, close to but not touching. And imagine it stops 4 finger widths below the navel. Now, if you can't imagine all this, don't worry about it. At the moment, that's not so important. I'm just letting you know it's there, okay? This hollow body. Now, the outside of that central channel is pale blue. The inside is a kind of oily red, flexible, about the width of a straw, you can think. Not physical in nature. Running quite close to the central channel are 2 side channels which begin just inside the nostrils. And like the head of an umbrella, follows the central channel down, close but not touching, down. And then 4 finger widths below the navel, it joins the central channel. If you're into it, the right-hand side channel is red and the left-hand side channel is white. Now, why are we talking about that? We're talking about that because what we're going to be focusing on, although we're using the breath, we're influencing the internal winds of the body. And we're really interested in moving these internal winds within these 3 channels. But these can be quite complicated. So I just want you to know that they're there, and we're going to practice. Now, what we practice is, again, depending who teaches you this, depending on the complication, if you take you can do it this way. Take your thumb and put it to the base of your ring finger. Close your fingers over the thumb until you have 1 finger, your index finger, like this. Yeah. Now, I'm teaching you this because I was taught this. I was with a Lama that went, "Why are you bothering with all that?" Because I was taught that way. So some Lamas won't bother, they'll just say use any finger. But this is the straightforward way I was taught. Thumb to the base of the ring finger, 3 fingers covered, and you're left with your index finger. And you block off your left nostril. Left nostril. And what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in through your right nostril, and the winds come down, cross over, and you're going to breathe out through your left, right? So it's like this, breathing in. You let your belly fill, And if you can, just hold it for a count of about 1, no more than that. Then you switch your finger over and you breathe out. Once more, breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. And that's one set of 3. You breathing in white light. Now this white light, it could be the blessings of the Buddha. I think, see it as a kind of purification. That's very helpful. White is very good when it comes to purification and affecting the energy winds. So breathing in, as you breathe in, it's white light. As you breathe out, imagine that that's dark smoke coming out. And that dark smoke contains all your negativities, wrong concepts, harm, injury, bad thoughts, just breathing out. And this black smoke doesn't hang about, it just goes straight into space, gone. And when you've done that, you can stop for a moment. At this stage, you can stop for a moment and just see how, as you breathe normally, see how it feels. Can you notice any change or not? You have to become quite subtle, but you can notice. Then you do the second set of 3. So this time you block off your right nostril and you breathe in through the left. Hold for a count of 1, then out through the right. Breathing in through the left. Breathing out through the right. Breathing in through the left. Breathing out through the right. And that's your second set of 3. Again, breathing in the white light, breathing out dark smoke that represents all negativities, wrong concepts, harm, pain, illness, anything like this. It's a very this meditation is done not just to calm the mind, but it's so powerful that it's actually a pre-tantric meditation. It gets the mind ready for tantra. It's that powerful. Lama Zopa Rinpoche has said that this, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, it's very healing. This type of thing can be very, very healing to the body. Very healing to the body and mind. It's extremely powerful. It's so simple but powerful. But like I say, there are depths to this and slight alterations once you do different practices. But this is the basis. Now, the last set of 3, which makes it 9, keeping the tummy soft, is breathing through both nostrils, letting the belly fill for a count of 1. Now, you can see what feels naturally to you, because when you breathe in, that's fine. When you breathe out, depending how it feels with the body at the moment, you can breathe out through both nostrils. So you're breathing in the light, and you're breathing out through both nostrils, the dark energy. That's possible. If you're going into Tantra, or you're doing anything to do with central channel work, or it feels comfortable to you, what you can do is breathing in through both nostrils. You imagine that air going into the central channel and then going up through the central channel and just dispersing at the crown, just dispersing like that. And it's like getting rid of ignorance, just getting rid of, it's like wrong concepts, ignorance just goes. So that's a possibility, breathing in through both nostrils, allowing the belly to fill. And instead of coming out of both nostrils, although there's nothing wrong with that, that's fine. If you want, you can try. The breath goes into the central channel, and as you breathe out, you imagine the breath going into the central channel up and just dispersing at the crown, just totally dispersing all the ignorance. And you do that 3 times. So let's try that. Keeping the belly soft. Breathing in through both nostrils, allowing the belly to fill. And breathing out. All ignorance totally dispersed. Continuing to breathe like that. If you breathed out through both nostrils, just try this time to allow the energy to enter the central channel and disperse at the crown. If you did that, then this time try breathing out through both nostrils, all the negativities. So in your own time. And this time, a set of 3 where you breathe through both nostrils, allowing the belly to fill. As you breathe out, the energy, the breath comes up the central channel, but this time it leaves through the space between the eyebrows, straight out into space. The darkness goes straight out into space. All that ignorance goes. So try it that way. Breathing in. So we'll go through the sequence again. We'll do the first round of 3 and then relax for a minute or so just to feel the difference. We'll do the second round of 3. Relax for a few minutes or a minute just to feel the difference. Then we'll do the third round. Relax and feel the difference. So we start off by blocking the left nostril. So I don't want to talk you all the way through that. Just the first 3 is exactly the same. Breathing in. And out. Second time breathing in. And breathing out. For a third time, breathing in. And breathing out. And just breathing normally. And see how that feels. Becoming sensitive to the changes in your mind, the agitation, the dullness. And remembering to breathe in the light and to breathe out the dark smoke. We do the second round of 3. So blocking the right nostril and breathing in through the left. Breathing in and out. And again. And out. And for the third time. And out. And tasting how that feels. And choosing now for the third round, one form of exhalation. Decide now whether you're going to come up your central channel, disperse the ignorance at the crown, or you're going to breathe out through both nostrils or between the eyebrows. Don't change your mind, make a decision. Now we do the third round, breathing in. Then staying with that mind, how does it feel? Balanced, unbalanced, calm, agitated. And to conclude, we're going to do the whole 9 rounds. Breathing in the white light, breathing out the dark smoke of negativity, harm, agitation, pain, breathing it out like black smoke. So just once more, you're breathing in your own time. What you're going to do, of course, is start off by blocking your left nostril. Now, in your own time, you're going to do the 9 rounds, breathing in and breathing out. So in your own time, begin. Thank you. Okay. So in groups of no more than 3, I'd like you to discuss how those 3 particular breathing techniques worked for you, being quite honest. If you remember, it was just the 3 breaths, then the 2 breaths, then the 9 round breathing. How did it affect you? Maybe it didn't. Maybe some bits were easy, some bits were more difficult. Maybe you got a bit mixed up with, doesn't matter. But how it went, how did it affect your mind if it did? Okay? So in groups of no more than 3, if I give you 15 minutes, please, I'd start now. Discussion's important, really.
I was discussing it, you know, you had a little difficult visualizing it coming out of the crown of the head, and
Did I say come out the crown of the head?
well, you know,
I think so. The last brush, the last within the nostril, both nostril, and
No,
then come out the crown of your head.
not out the crown, no, no. You can. I mean, this is another way of doing it. But for the moment, I sort of said dispersing, just dispersing at the crown. Just
maybe that's
dispersing.
why we had
The
difficulty.
language, the language, I don't know what dispersing means.
Ah.
I understood it the same way.
Okay, you can do it. I mean, I've been taught that way as well. There's many different ways of doing this. It's possible for it to come shooting out the crown deep into space. Definitely, definitely you could do it that way. At the moment, though, I was trying to keep it internal. So again, it's my problem with dispersing just means evaporating, just sort of just going into nothingness,
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, but it can come through the crown. Yeah, some people find that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Some people find it straightforward, no problem.
Yeah.
What else came out?
Well, I happen to have a headache today, so I was visualizing it between the eyebrows, and it actually was really helpful.
Mm.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, there are times when I find that very, very powerful. So it's between both eyebrows, just slightly higher. If you put your fingers like that, 3 fingers, this finger goes to one eyebrow, this finger goes to the other eyebrow, and just let that one relax. And where the middle one relaxes, that can come straight out. Some people find that very powerful,
yeah,
very powerful. Yeah. Anything else?
Does the 9 round breath method, does that generate lung, or does it
Does it generate lung?
does it activate
anything-
lung energies, or does it help
Well,
set them? That's it.
I've never really experienced lung. I have to say, it's not something, but I don't know whether it's because I don't concentrate hard enough or, I mean, I was told about lung, and I've met many people who have got lung or had it, and had it diagnosed by a Lama, so that it exists is true. It's a kind of lung. How could you describe it? It can be a pain, it can be a lack of concentration, it can be a kind of wavering of your concentration. You're not getting what you need, and you can actually become a little bit ill with it. Some people describe it as a tightening in the chest, a lack of energy. I've heard about it. I've heard about it since 1978. Never had it. Met many people who have had it, and definitely they've had it diagnosed. But from what I can see and from what they tell me, you can develop this from any type of meditation that you do, where the concentration is perhaps, my understanding is that maybe just a bit too intense. We have Alan Wallace, I don't know if any of you have had teachings from Alan Wallace. He talks about having lung and really bad lung. And he talks about the fact that when he went to see His Holiness the Dalai Lama, it was about too much tension. Really sort of, I will do this, I will focus. I will not move my mind. I am going to achieve what it's kind of, and of course, he told me that His Holiness said to him that expectation in meditation is the death of meditation. It's the death of it. And he now when he teaches this, any type of meditation, it's about balance. It's about emotional balance. Not being too tense, not being too lax. That middle balance. There shouldn't be too, it's understandable. And when he said to His Holiness, I'm getting this problem, and His Holiness says, you're trying too hard. And Alan said to me, but I said to him, he actually said to the Dalai Lama, but you said it was really, you really had to try hard, and this was different. And His Holiness says, yes, when you're not meditating, certainly try very hard. When you're meditating, relax. And when you think you've relaxed enough, relax more. So, I don't know if that's a good answer.
Could I add a little bit?
Sure.
Because I think I've known pretty powerfully, but it's described in different ways, in different symptoms. So what I experience is a very intense vibration in the body.
Okay.
It's more or less continuous.
Right.
It can be agitated.
Right.
They say that meditation in itself generates the winds.
Well, that it does.
So the winds that you're describing, the
It
wind
does.
channels,
Mhm.
it activates them,
Mhm.
enlivens them.
Yes.
But they can be so present that it's felt, which I feel is a very intense vibration.
Mm.
So meditating itself generates this wind energy.
Well, the wind energy is there. It agitates it, certainly. It certainly agitates it. And it can come out in different ways. It can come out as a blissful feeling. It can come out as a non-conceptuality. It can come out, which are all qualities of Buddha nature. It can come out as a kind of luminosity. It can also come out as a healing. If you try to develop, you do some meditation and you go on retreat and develop shamata, there's an awful lot of physical healing that can take place because the energy winds change. Also, with some sort of change in energy winds, you can get different types of pains, and you have to, when you're in, especially in long-term retreat, you have to kind of work out, is this pain has a physical basis, or or what I'm feeling, is it coming from my meditation? And so before you do a long retreat on this, you need to know the difference. Alan tells a story of one guy who went to a lot of meditation, did many months of retreat with Alan, went on retreat, long-term retreat, did it, and started getting pain in his abdomen. And this went on for a while, and he sat down, he thought about it, and used his knowledge base of how energy winds work, and realized it was a physical pain. So he went to the doctor, and he had appendicitis, had an operation, had his appendix out, then after went back into retreat. So you have, this is something you have to be very sensitive to, because the energy winds will affect you in many different ways. But I find it can be quite healing,
Exactly.
very healing.
It's a natural process, so and something's happening.
It is. And sometimes people get different colors come to the eye. You start visualizing different colors and various things like that, and people get very excited. Oh, I see this color and I saw the back. It's very nice. It's very nice. It's very good. That's very nice. Relax. See, this is the thing with the mind. The mind will bring up all this and then it diverts you off to this. It diverts you off to that. But what you should have been doing was that. So people say, and I had this vision, it was one of the Buddha, and it did this and that. I said, well, that's really good. And did you do what you set out to do? No, but this happened and this happened. So that's really nice. So did you do what you said? No. And they said, you're going to keep saying that. See, it's not that it's good or bad. The mind will bring all these things up. Absolutely. Absolutely. But as I don't believe half of what I see, I certainly don't believe 90% of what I think. So you don't need to be carried away. Just understand what's going on. And to understand what's going on, if you're going to do long-term retreat on shamata, is get some good teachings on shamata. Really know what's going on. I meet people who say, I'm going to do a shamata. I said, that's fantastic. What's your object? Don't know. I'll think about it. Have you had any teachings on this? Well, I've read a book. Okay, not a good idea. Get some good teaching. Really know what you're doing. Because the energy winds that you start agitating, they're going to bring up certain things. You need to know what they are and what they're not. And it's such fun, I can't tell you. It's better than television. Anything else come up in your discussion? What about just the simple 3 breaths? Having the hollow body, breathing in the white light, breathing out the negativity. How did that feel? There's just 3 breaths, breathing in, breathing out. Yeah, that was the first one we did. Yeah, went to sleep.
The 3 breaths. One is in.
No, not 9-round breathing. The first set of breaths we did was just simply 3 breaths, breathing in to the hollow body, the white light, and breathing out the darkness. How did that go?
No, it's just one.
Oh, that's one round.
Yeah.
Must be counting 3 breaths.
Yes, it's 3 breaths. It's not 1 round, just 3 breaths. Not the 9-round breathing. We did 3 types. Simple 3 breaths, the 2 breath with the, and then 9-round breathing. It was 3 different types. Hello. You're getting tired. I can tell. Never mind. How was the 3 breaths? How did that go?
Well, for me, maybe because it's the first time that I tried this kind of
Ah.
experience, it was the most natural and the most the easier.
Yeah.
It's the one that I probably experienced food, or at least the closest to food.
This is the one I do most often, I have to say, because it's just so simple, so straightforward, takes no time, and just works. I am a sucker for things that work. I love things that work, and that works. For some people, the more you practice, the more it'll work. What about the 2 breaths, where you breathe in, allow your belly to fill, and then out through pursed lips for a long out breath, letting your whole body simply relax. And doing that twice, and then breathing normally. How did that feel?
I really liked that one. It was surprisingly after just 2 breaths.
Yeah.
Really
You're
relaxed.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
But then when you have to just breathe normally, that's when my mind.
Yeah. That's only practice.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can do a very complicated, very long-term way of shutting down the 5 senses, relaxing the body, starting and going, and that's fine. You can do all that. If you do that often enough, you can visualize it in 2 or 3 breaths and you're there. You're exactly where you want to be. And some people can do it just by this, the 2 breath method. And that's very useful prior to a meditation. If you want to do a particular meditation, you've only got 10 minutes or so, you don't want to spend that 10 minutes relaxing. you want to do that fairly quickly. So that's quite useful. Quite useful. Just think to yourself, your whole body simply relaxes. And it's a bit like your whole body is like, your skeleton becomes like a coat hanger. Everything just brilliant. Love it to bits. So what about the 9 round breathing? How did that feel?
Yeah.
Who got confused?
Lost count.
I have to say, you don't have to block off nostrils. This is good to start with because it helps you focus. Wherever you touch the body, the mind comes there. Okay, that's the thing to understand about it. That's why walking meditation is so people like it, because your foot is touching the earth and you're bringing your mind there, and it's quite easy. So wherever you touch, the mind automatically goes there. And the mind doesn't just go like this. It kind of blossoms wherever you touch. That's your experience. And so by blocking off, it's helping you bring your mind there. But you don't have to do that. Once you're used to it, you don't have to block off. You just focus. And if you focus on whatever nostril you're focusing on, that's where you'll feel the breath coming in. Any difficulties with the 9 round?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Around? So in the last round where we breathe in with both nostrils and out, so we could breathe out, imagine, enlightenment or the black smoke, or breathing out between the eyebrows.
Okay. See, maybe this was me. See, I like to give people choices, but sometimes choices can be a bit confusing.
No, but it was good as what was out of between the eyebrows.
What's coming out? What always comes out on the out breath? Black smoke containing all the negativities. Wherever you breathe out, yes.
Imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's also what I
Yeah.
understood. Yeah.
But like I say, sometimes some people are not comfortable with central channel stuff at the moment. That's fine. Then breathing out in and out through both nostrils, that's very good, very calming. For some people here, for some people dispersing at the crown, and for some people, depending who the Lama is and the context of what teaching's going on, shooting out through the central channel, deep into space. So do what comes natural.
I think it was nice with the options, and it was interesting to feel the difference between if I imagine enlightenment, this, or imagine black smoke coming out.
Black smoke coming out.
Yeah, there was a difference in the physical.
Oh, it does. Yes. Oh, yeah.
It was nice to have having options.
What's interesting is where you focus. That's your reality. We think reality is like focus, that becomes your reality. I think that was Henry James, and I get mixed up with my philosophers, but there you go. Okay. So, tomorrow, we're going to look at closer now at this journey from bondage to freedom, from ignorance to wisdom, the disparity of our intellectual understanding and our behavior. Because we're going to start with that, because that's important to get a grasp of. To do that, on this journey to emptiness, to understanding the nature of how things actually exist. Like going on any journey, it's good to have a companion, you know, to keep you on the straight and narrow. The best companion you can have on this road, this journey, is to understanding the nature of reality, is impermanence. There's no better companion for you than this. And so we're going to start tomorrow looking at impermanence, but I want to look at the 3 levels of subtle impermanence. And again, we think we know what impermanence is, but what we're going to do now is look deeper into impermanence and look at what the Buddha said impermanence was. Look at the subtle levels of impermanence, not just what we think we see. And that's how we'll start tomorrow. And then we go on to looking at self, the nature of reality. But we need this context. We need some understanding of impermanence to be able to get a view, get a handle on this. But I want to thank you very much for coming out this evening. How wonderful.
Thank you.
Many ways that you could have spent this evening. I'm delighted you decided to spend it here. And so in this world, very rare that anyone spends any time looking at reality. Because we all think we know what it is. In fact, we're so sure of what it is, just to question it seems odd. So to do this is very rare and is extremely positive. And for those of you who study the Buddha Dharma, you realize that this positive energy, this positive karma needs to be kept safe. And to keep it safe, we just take a minute to remember the motivation that we had in the beginning. What was it we were motivating today for? Now, in the beginning, we had this motivation. Now, during this session, we've created some positive energy, and now we're going to focus that energy towards achieving what we set out to achieve. And this imprints it deep in the mind. And so you will benefit from it. It won't be lost. And so the simple way of doing that is remembering your motivation, realizing that you've done some work in this direction now, and you can focus it now towards achieving it. It's like, motivation's like, I want, I need, it would be nice if. Now your dedication is like, I will, I have, definitely I will do. Like that. That's the different energy. And because that can sometimes be a bit tricky, people get used to it, we can use prayers that help us with that. And so the dedication prayer on page 38 is to help us do this. Now, if you're happy with prayers, please join in. If you're not so keen on prayers, then remember the motivation and just use that dedication, pushing your energy, directing it towards achieving what you set out to achieve. Dedication prayer on page, is it 6? Did I say I forgot my glasses?
It starts on page 35, end of 35. But if you have slightly different editions.
Okay, different editions. So it has the heading dedication prayer. You got that? Dedication prayer? Go to page 36. 36, that's the beginning there. Okay, turn the page. There you go. Top left-hand corner. Yeah. Everybody got that? Okay. It's a serious business dedication. It really completes the positive action. You don't want to miss it out. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Because within the Mahayana, the highest motivation, the highest dedication, which you start at day one in Mahayana Buddhism, is bodhicitta. Bodhicitta. This mind that wants to become enlightened to help others. And in the beginning, you're just blah-blahing the words, eh? It's just fabricated. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. It'll grow and it becomes the way you think. Don't worry about fabrication. Don't worry about, well, I don't really believe that. If you've got that type of aspiration, there's no problem. There's no problem. It'll grow. Thank you very much. And I know there's food upstairs and tea and everything. So
Just is sitting here.
In general, no, just that looking forward to see you, all that is pre-registered, and those of you who hasn't and has been inspired, you're more than welcome to join us tomorrow.
oh, 10 o'clock tomorrow
Yeah,
morning.
10 o'clock.
I just love it in Copenhagen. Normally they've got me starting a lot earlier, eh? I keep saying I'm an old lady, let me start later, but 10 o'clock's brilliant. I love 10 o'clock. If you are coming tomorrow, come a wee bit early and have a cup of tea and a coffee, because I don't have a break. 2 hours, we can do that. 10 to 12, I don't have breaks. You don't need it. Don't need 2 hours. Get break in the afternoon, not in the morning. So come a wee bit early and have your coffee and tea. Thank you so much.